Christmas time. So I need to work on that. So I need to buy stuff for that. And while I was leaving, oh, and I got root beer. I love root beer. But when I was leaving, one of the employees, while I was walking out the door, she was like, "Oh my gosh, you are so pretty." When I tell you, that lady made my day. That lady made my day. She was the sweet. It was so unsolicited, but it was so sweet. I love that lady. I love that lady. Okay, but oh yeah, and I wanted to light a candle. My wood candle. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. We're gonna light that sucker up. And then I will decide which stories we will be reading today. Put that to the side. Okay. Okay. There's so many. Oh my god. I think I'm gonna read two. But let's see. I'm gonna read one that I think everybody knows the original story on it. And then I'll read one that just the title sounds enticing to me. I'll read that one too. So let me see if I can find one that is well known among most people. Okay, I'm gonna read Cinderella. And I will read The Shoes That Were Danced to Pieces. That one sounds enticing, so I'm gonna read the Cinderella one first. Okay. I'm not exactly sure how grim it is, but hopefully it's not that bad. Let's see how long this is. I think it's only a couple pages. It's 3 pages, so actually it's 5 pages, but 3 page flips. Okay, I'm excited because this is requested, and I kind of wanted to do this, but oh my gosh, it's not focused. But I get nervous when I read out loud, so we'll see how this goes. Okay, but let's just go. The wife of a rich man fell sick, and as she felt that her end was drawing near, she called her only daughter to her bedside and said, "Dear child, be good and pious, and then the good God will always protect you, and I will look down on you from heaven and be near you." Then she closed her eyes and departed. Every day the maiden went out to her mother's grave and wept and remained poised. I think it's poised. Remained poised and good. When winter came, the snow spread a white sheet over the grave, and when the spring sun had drawn it off again, the man had taken another wife. The man had brought 2 daughters into the house with her, who were beautiful and fair of face, but work from morning till night, get up before daybreak, carry water, light fires, cook and wash. Besides this, the sisters did her every imaginable injury. They mocked her and emptied her peas and lentils into the ashes, so that she was forced to sit and pick them out again. In the evening, when she worked till she was weary, she had no bed to go on to, but had to sleep by the fireside in the ashes. And since on that account she always looked dusty and dirty, they called her Cinderella. It happened that the father was once going to be fair, and he asked his two stepdaughters that he would bring back for them. Sorry, I got a text message from my cousin. And since on that account she always looked dusty and dirty, they called her Cinderella. It happened that her father was once going to the fair, and he asked his two stepdaughters what he should bring back for them. Beautiful dresses, said one. Pearls and jewels, said the second. And for you, Cinderella, said he, what will you have? Father, break off for me the first branch which knocks against your hat on your way home. So he bought beautiful dresses, pearls and jewels for his two stepdaughters, and on his way home, as he was riding through a green thicket, a hazel twig brushed against him and knocked off his hat. Then he broke off that branch and took it with him. When he reached home, he gave his stepdaughters the things which they had wished for, and to Cinderella he gave the branch from the hazel bush. Cinderella thanked him, went to her mother's grave, and planted the branch on it. She swept her dirty clothes among the ashes, and a dim little oil lamp was burning on the mantelpiece for Cinderella. Cinderella had jumped quickly down from the back of the pigeon house and had run to the little hazel tree, and there she had taken off her beautiful clothes and laid them on the grave, and the bird had taken them away again, and then she had placed herself in the kitchen amongst the ashes in her gray gown. Next day, when the festival began afresh, and her parents and the stepsisters had gone once more, Cinderella went to the hazel tree and said, "Shiver and quiver, my little tree, silver and gold thrown down on me." And then the bird threw down a much more beautiful dress than on the preceding day. And when Cinderella appeared at the festival in this dress, everyone was astonished by her beauty. The king's son had waited until she came and instantly took her by the hand and danced with no one but her. And when others came and invited her, he said, "She is my partner." When evening came, she wished to leave, and the king's son followed her and wanted to see which house she went, but she sprang away from him and into the garden behind the house. There she stood, a beautiful tall tree on which hung the most magnificent pears. She clambered so nimbly between the branches like a squirrel, that the king's son did not know where she had gone. He waited until her father came and said to him, "The strange maiden has escaped from me, and I believe she climbed up the pear tree." The father thought, "Can it be Cinderella?" and had an axe brought and cut down the tree, but no one was on it. And when they got into the kitchen, Cinderella lay there amongst the ashes as usual, for she had jumped down from the other side of the tree, had taken the beautiful dress to the bird on the little hazel tree, and put on her gray gown. On the third day, when the parents and sisters had gone away, Cinderella went once more to her mother's grave and said left slipper, which remained sticking. The king's son picked it up, and it was small and dainty and all golden. Next morning he brought it to the father, and said to him, "No one shall be my wife, but she whose foot fits this golden slipper." Then the two sisters were glad, for they had pretty feet. The eldest went with the shoe into her room and wanted to try it on, and her mother stood by, but she could not get her big toe in it, and the shoe was too small for her. Then the mother gave her a knife and said, "Cut the toe off. When you are queen, you will have no more need to go on foot." The maiden cut the toe off, forced the foot into the shoe, swallowed the pain, and went out to the king's son. Then he took her on his horse, and his bride rode away with her. They were, however, obliged to pass the grave, and there stood on the hazel tree said the two bitches, and cried, turn and peep, there's blood within the shoe. The shoe is too small for her, the true bride waits for you." Then he looked at her foot, and saw how the blood was streaming from it. He turned his horse around, and took the false bride home, and said she was not the true one, and that the other sister was to put the shoe on. Then this one went into the chamber, and got her toes safely into the shoe, but her heel was too large. So her mother gave her a knife, and said, "Cut a bit of your heel off. When you are..." Sorry, I am stuttering so much. I am actually so sorry. And why does it feel like I'm not focused? Okay. And it's hard to read like this, so bear with me, please. So her mother gave her a knife and said, "Cut a bit of your heel. When you are queen, you will have no more need to go on foot." The maiden cut a bit of her heel off, forced her foot into the shoe, swallowed the pain, and went out to the king's son. He took her on his horse as his bride, and rode away with her. But when they passed by the hazel tree, two pigeons sat on it and cried, turn and peep, there's blood within the shoe. The shoe it is too small for her, the true bride waits for you." He looked down at her foot, and saw how blood was running out of her shoe, and how it had stained her white stocking. Then he turned his horse, and took the false bride home. "This also is not the right one," he said. "Have you no other daughter?" "No," said the man. There is still a little stunted kitchen wench which my late wife left behind, but she cannot possibly be the bride." The king's son said he was to send her up to him, but the mother answered, "Oh no, she is much too dirty, she cannot show herself." He absolutely insisted on it, and Cinderella had to be called. She first washed her hands and face clean, and then went and bowed down before the king's son, who gave her the golden shoe. Then she seated herself on a stool, drew her foot out of the heavy wooden shoe, then put it into the slipper, which fit like a glove. And then when she rose up, and the king's son looked at her face, he recognized the beautiful maiden who he had danced with, and cried, "That is the true bride." The stepmother and the two sisters were terrified and became pale with rage. He, however, took Cinderella on his horse and rode away with her. As they passed by the hazel tree, the two white doves cried, turn and peep, no blood is in the shoe. The shoe is not too small for her, the true bride rides with you." And when they cried that, the two came flying down and placed themselves on Cinderella's shoulders, one on the right, the other on the left, and remained sitting there. When the wedding and the king's son was celebrated, the two false sisters came and wanted to get in favor with Cinderella and share her good fortune. But the betrothed couple went to the church, the elder that was at the right side and the younger at the left. The pigeons pecked out one eye of each of them. Afterwards, as they came back, the elder was at the left and the younger was at the right. And when the pigeons pecked out the other eye of each, and thus, for their wickedness and falsehood, they were punished with blindness as long as they lived. Dang. Why am I not focused at all? Are my eyes going bad? Very possible. Especially after the stood side by side, and every night when they were in them, the king locked the door and bolted it. But in the morning, when he unlocked the door, he saw that their shoes were worn out with dancing, and no one could find out how that had come to pass. Then the king caused it to be proclaimed that whoever could discover where they were dancing at night should choose one of them for his wife and be king after his death. But that whoever came forward and had not discovered it within 3 days and nights should have forfeited his life. It was not before a king's son presented himself and offered to undertake the enterprise. He was well received, and in the evening was led to a room adjoining the princess's sleeping chamber. His bed was placed there, and he was to observe where they went and danced, and in an order that they might do nothing secretly or go away to some other place. The door of their room was left open, but the eyelids of the prince grew heavy as lead. But the eyelids of the prince grew heavy as lead, and he fell asleep. And when he awoke in the morning, all 12 had been to the dance, for their shoes were standing there with holes in the soles. On the second and third nights, it fell out just the same, and then his head was struck off without mercy. Many others came forward after this and undertook the enterprise, but all forfeited their lives. Now it came to pass a poor soldier who had a wound and could no longer serve, found himself on the road to the town where the king lived. There he met an old woman who asked him where he was going. "I hardly know myself," he answered, and added in jest, "I have a mind to discover where the princesses danced their shoes into holes and thus become king." "That is not so difficult," said the old woman. "You must not drink the wine which will be brought to you at night, and you must pretend to be sound asleep." With that she gave him a little cloak and said, "If you put that on, you will be invisible. Then you can follow the 12. When the soldier had received this good advice, he went into the thing in earnest. That doesn't make sense, but like to me, in my brain, that does not make sense. But we're gonna keep going. He went into the thing in earnest, took his harp, went to the king, and announced himself as a suitor. He was as well received as the others, and royal garments were put upon him. He was conducted that evening at bedtime into the antechamber, and he was about to go to bed. The eldest came and brought him a cup of wine, but he had tied a sponge under his chin and let the wine run down into it without drinking a drop. Then he lay down, and he had lain a while. He began to snore as if in the deepest sleep. Then he lay down, and when he had lain a while, he began to snore. The 12 princesses heard that and laughed, and the eldest said he too might as well save his life. With that they got up, opened wardrobe, presses, cupboards, and brought out pretty dresses, dressed themselves before the mirrors, sprang about, and rejoiced at the prospect of the dance. Only the youngest said, "I know not how it is. You are very happy, but I feel strange. Some misfortune is certainly about to befall us." "You are a goose who is always frightened," said the eldest. "Have you forgotten how many kings' sons have already come here in vain? I had hardly any need to give the soldier a sleeping potion. In any case, the clown would have not awakened." When they were all ready, they looked carefully at the soldier, but he had his eyes closed and did not move or stir, so they felt themselves quite secure. The eldest then went to her bed and tapped it. Immediately sank into the earth, and one after another they descended through the opening, the eldest going first. The soldier, who had washed everything, tarried no longer, put his little cloak, and went down with the youngest. Halfway down to the steps, he trod a little on her dress. She was terrified at that and cried out, "What is that? Who is pulling my dress?" "Don't be so silly," said the eldest. "You have caught it on a nail." Then they went all the way down, and when they were at the bottom, they were standing in a wonderful pretty avenue of trees, all the leaves of which were silver, shone and glistening. The soldier thought, "I must carry a token with me," and broke off a twig from one of them, on which the tree cracked were they as bright as diamonds. He broke off a twig from each, which made such a crack each time that the youngest stared back in terror. But the eldest still maintained that they were salutes. They went on and came to a great lake, whereon stood 12 little boats, and in every boat sat a handsome prince, all of whom were waiting for the 12, and each one of them with him. But the soldier seated himself by the youngest. Then her prince said, I cannot tell why the boat is so much heavier today. I shall row with all my strength if I am to get across. What should cause that, said the youngest, but the warm weather. I feel very warm too. On the opposite side of the lake stood a splendid, brightly lit castle, from whence resounded the joyous music of trumpets and kettle drums. They rowed over there, entered. Each prince danced with the girl he loved, but the soldier with them, unseen. Okay, we're gonna read a little without that. They rowed over there, entered, and each prince danced with the girl he loved, but the soldier danced with them unseen. And when one of them had a cup of wine in her hand, he drank it up so that the cup was empty. When she carried it to her mouth, the youngest was alarmed by this, but the eldest always made her be silent. They danced there till 3 o'clock in the morning, when all the shoes were danced into holes, and they were forced to leave off. The princes rowed them back over the lake, and this time the soldier seated himself by the eldest. On the shore they took leave of their princess and promised to return the following night. When they reached the stairs, the soldier ran on in front and lay down in his bed. And when the 12 came slowly and wearily, he was already snoring so loudly that they all could hear them. And they said, so far as he is concerned, we are safe. They took off their beautiful dresses, laid them away, put the worn-out shoes under the bed, and lay down. Next morning the soldier was resolved not to speak, but to watch wonderful goings-ons, and again went with them. Everything was done just as it had been done before the first time, and each time they danced until their shoes were worn to pieces. But the third time he took a cup away with him as a token. When the hour had arrived for him to give his answer, he took the 3 twigs and the cup and went to the king. But the 12 stood behind the door and listened to what he was going to say. When the king put the question, Where have my 12 daughters danced their shoes to pieces in the night? He answered, in an underground castle with 12 princes, and related how it came to pass, and brought out the tokens. The king then summoned his daughters and asked them if the soldier had told the truth. And when they saw that they were all found out, and that the lies would be of no use, they were obliged to confess all. Thereupon the king asked which of him he would want to have as his wife. He answered, I am no longer young, so give me the eldest. Then the wedding was celebrated on the same day, and the kingdom was promised to him after the king's death. But the princes were bewitched for as many days as they had night. But the princes were bewitched for as many days as they had danced nights with the 12. That is actually so sad. So the princesses were in love with separate princes, and instead of telling their father that they were in love, why am I like blurry? Is that better? Okay, and while they were in love, they refused to tell their father.